What's going on there, guys? We're back with another one. Want to talk about how tight-lipped the cast of ESPN First Take, some of them, particularly Ryan Clark and Molly Karam, when they were speaking about Bill Belichick and his 24-year-old girlfriend. So much is being made about Shannon and his preference and choices of women that's 19 years old, 20 years old, however. And not a lot being said about Belichick. They're covering it, but it has the coverage of something that's here today, gone tomorrow. And if we're going to talk about Shannon's choices and his preferences, we have to look at Bill Belichick a little bit weird, as his age gap is larger than that of Shannon's. Now, we're going to look back at what Ryan Clark had to say about Shannon Sharpe and the 19-year-old.
People are going to feel how they feel about the age gap and what that means to them, right? My preference isn't that. If I have, and I do have a 20-year-old daughter, my preference for her, my advice to her, the things that I will and will not be comfortable with for her aren't that, right?
Now we know Clark is friends with Bill Belichick, even dressed up like him, had him on the show before, and so they have a nice working relationship where they can reach out to each other for podcasts and different things. And so Ron Clark didn't feel comfortable commenting on the interview that was very weird with Bill Belichick. We'll show it after this clip, but let's look at Ryan Clark's reaction when Stephen A. Smith and Mad Dog Russo started covering it.
Right there.
Well,
You do not.
that's where RC
Steps
exit out the
I get it.
stage.
I know who you're referring to, Mr. Riddick.
Oh.
I'm just,
Stay away.
I just watched the interview. That's all. I just watched the interview.
Yeah, I got nothing to add.
All right, we lay you off. I thought that was a good one. You can come back in.
It was,
Come
it
back
was,
in.
it was a great one. Nobody else needs to say it. I'll say it. You're a grown man. If somebody asks you a question and you don't want to answer it, don't answer it. You spent 20 years not answering questions you didn't want to answer. We don't need somebody else telling us you're not answering something. That's all.
Now, just a week ago, Chris Mad Dog Russo was about to go on an epic rant talking about Bill Belichick and his young girlfriend. And the producers communicated with Molly that no, you absolutely cannot talk about Bill Belichick live on TV. Although they just suspended Shannon Sharpe, and have addressed those issues publicly, they would not allow that to be talked about on their network.
A lot more that I can give you. The Rangers fired their head coach. Mrs. Belichick's girlfriend with the 28-3, jersey, which drove me crazy. Did you see that this week?
Well, tell me the Belichick's girlfriend real quick. I want to hear.
You want to hear this? It'll get me in trouble, but I'll tell you right.
Oh, they said no. They said no.
Oh, don't go
They
through
said
it.
no.
Okay.
Don't
That's what I mean.
They said no.
I get
They
edited
said
here,
no.
too. I get edited.
Okay. No, I said no.
So you got me in trouble.
We didn't do it. We didn't do it. We caught him.
Make sure that that's the
Jordan was a constant presence during our interview.
You have Jordan right over there. Everybody in the world seems to be following this relationship. They've got an opinion about your private life. It's got nothing to do with them, but they're invested in it. How do you deal with that?
Never been too worried about what everybody else thinks. Just try to do what I feel like is best for me and what's right.
How did you guys meet?
not talking about this.
No?
No.
It's a topic neither one of them is comfortable commenting on. Has recently posted about it on Instagram.
You joined InstaFace, as you put it. I love that. There's some great pictures of you and Jordan, where you're a fisherman and she's a mermaid. It's charming. It's a different side of you. What's the reaction been like?
What's it been like?
To have these different sort of photos. There's another one where you're doing, I know you're not into meditation or yoga or Pilates. You're balancing Jordan on your feet, and she's doing kind of the Titanic pose.
Yeah, so I'm on some of those social media platforms, but I honestly don't follow them.
Now, obviously, Ron Clark, his friendship with Bill Belichick caused him to walk off, even though it seems like it was in a playful, jovial manner. Um, he was clearly uncomfortable talking about Bill Belichick and leaning into where they could potentially go with that conversation. Molly Karam didn't want no parts of that, and probably because of the clip I showed you from a week ago where they were like, no, you can't talk about Bill Belichick. Find it mighty funny who they can talk about and who they can't talk about. You know, we can run Ja Morant through the ringer. Um, we can run Zion through the ringer. We could talk about him dealing with girls that's older than him, right? The Mariah Mills girl, we can run that content, but we can't talk about the uncomfortable conversation of Bill Belichick, who has all these Super Bowls, won with Tom Brady, and all that. We can't speak about that at great length because it's not a comfortable conversation that people want to have. And he don't have the look of someone that we want to attack. And if we calling out Shannon, for the age of girls and young women that he's choosing, we got to call out Bill Belichick. Like, I don't have no horse in the race, and I feel like you got to call out everybody. You got to put it all on Front Street. Um, Bill Belichick, that weird interview, the girl shutting him down, and I had seen something. Was it? I don't think it was Marcellus Wiley, but it was somebody else's podcast, and they were saying that she's pulling strings at Carolina. Her voice is being heard in critical decision making, and Carolina need to be like paying attention, making sure she's not running the football program. And you could kind of see the way she interjected where Bill Belichick was collecting his thoughts. She was like, "We're not talking about that. How did y'all meet?" So it seems a little weird the way that they met. Is this somebody Bill Belichick knew when she was 3 or 4 years old? Did he used to babysit her? Uh, all kinds of stuff start running through your head when people are that scared to speak about it. Because if it wasn't an issue, you wouldn't mind saying where you met, how you met. You ain't got to go into details, but you could say, we met at a mall, we met at a bookstore, we met at a carnival, we met at a state fair. It don't matter, right? But for you to treat that like an interrogation, it lends to the idea that you know that something is wrong with the way that this looks. This does not look good, and this isn't the type of person I should be with, and that's known by both of them. So, yeah, man, I just want them to keep that same energy they're keeping with Shannon. They don't even know if Shannon's coming back. He said, he plans to come back at the start of the football season, but they're doing like a lot of the advertisers are doing with him. They're waiting to see how this thing blows over, what comes of this case. Because I showed you the other video where Boost and other sponsors, their decals and their advertisements have come down in the background. And they're like, we just don't want to be associated while this is going on, which is normal protocol. I ain't saying he lost the deals, but, they can be on suspension or on hold until further notice. So yeah, man, Bill Belichick. I mean, this is strange, right? That he's able to be a head coach with that young girl. Nobody's saying nothing. She's grown, I get it, but it just don't look right to me, man. And like, so listen to me on this. This is the last thing I'm gonna say. What happens if one of those players knock that girl up? You know what I'm saying? Because she's the age, and I ain't saying it can't happen for older women, but what happens if she starts to like one of them guys that's her age that she's attracted to? She's around all them college athletes in the locker room, seeing them with their shirt off and all that. What happens when one of them run up in her? I don't know, man. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Till next time. Peace.